Well, good morning. We're going to go ahead and get started here with our free Logos webinar, how to get the most out of your Logos library. I'm so glad you've made the decision to be with us today. It's gonna be a really fun hour. We're gonna really cover three basic things. First of all, organizing your library. You've got on your computer a huge, very powerful theological library, and we're going to talk about how to get it organized. So that you can search through it very efficiently. We're also going to talk about how to build custom collections. That's a great feature of Logos that a lot of people don't know about. And then we're going to spend some time, or toward the end, talking about all of the powerful things that you can do with Logos Search. So this should be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. Our presenter today is Mike Miser. Mike is a national presenter here at Logos, which means that he travels around the country. His whole job is to travel around the country and teach people how to use Logos. So this should be a lot of fun for us this morning. We've got just about an hour together, which Logos, there's a lot of power there, and we are not going to be able to cover everything. We are going to cover these three really important things, but if you would like to become a master of using Logos, this hour, our hour together this morning is a great starting point, but if you'd like to go further, you'd like to learn more, you really need to go to camp. Logos.com/learnlogos, and you can learn about Logos training events in your area. Morris Proctor is a trainer. He travels around the country, the world really, doing two-day events teaching people how to use Logos. It's really a great experience, and if you enjoy yourself this morning, which I'm sure you will, Camp Logos is really the next step for you. If as we're going through here today, if something that Mike says, or if you just any questions that you have, you can email them to us at webinars@logos.com, and we will do our best to answer them on air. We'll leave some time there at the end to answer any questions that you might have. And if we're going too fast, or if you can't hear something like that, feel free to email us, webinars@logos.com. All right. We're going to jump right in here. So without any further ado, Mike Miser.
Thank you very much, Ray. It's a pleasure to be with you guys today. This is something that I love to do, is to train people how to use Logos, how to access their libraries in more effective and efficient ways. Like he said, this is something that I travel around the country doing, traveling to seminaries, churches, whoever will have me. I love to do this because I am a Logos fanatic. I love to use this software. I use it almost every day to do personal study, to prepare lessons, to preach sermons out of, and I used it when I was going through school as well. So I would love to show you a few tricks that you can use and implement in order to use this tool more effectively. Because unfortunately most folks get a Logos library and then never really take the time to learn how to use it. And that is a shame because, as many of you are well aware, Logos is the most vast digital library offering for Christian resources out there in the market today. And it is a powerful tool, but it's more than just a digital library. Logos is also your own personal team of research assistants. And so I want to show you today how you can train your team of research assistants to start working for you so that you can save more time and have better times in your study. So without further ado, let's get into doing some things. So as Ray mentioned, we're going to do three things primarily today. We are going to talk about organizing and prioritizing our library. We're going to talk about building our own custom collections. And then we're also going to talk about doing some basic searching using our library and our collections that we've built. We only have an hour, so we're going to have to cruise a little bit. And in an hour, there's only so much you can do. But when I was asked, Mike, what would you do in an hour? Anytime I'm training in an hour, these are the three things that I want to focus on, because by my personal opinion, and some may have a different opinion, some may have a different training methodology, but in my opinion and by my usage history, These are three of the most important things that you need to know how to do in order to properly use Logos. So organizing and prioritizing your library, building custom collections, and searching. And once you have a grasp on these three things, you are going to be on your way to becoming a Logos Pro. So if you have your Logos open, that's great. If you don't have it open, feel free to get it open. Or if you don't have Logos at all, just feel free to watch and observe, and I'll make sure to make things nice and clear for you. So if you have the home screen open, which is this screen that you're seeing here, let's go ahead and get this closed out. And we can do that by clicking on the home button up here in the top left-hand corner of our Logos program, and that'll just hide the home screen. The home screen is just a shade that is pulled down and then is pulled back up in your Logos. You can also do some other shortcuts and things that to get rid of it or to show it, but for right now we're just going to click the home screen, the home icon, to get rid of it. So what we're going to look at first is our library, and that is the book icon in the top left-hand corner of the Logos software. If you click the book icon, you're going to get a pop-up menu. And within this menu, you can see all of the books in your library. Most of you probably have a library view that looks something like this. This is what's called the tile view. I want to talk to you about the strengths and weaknesses of the tile view and why I actually prefer a different view for our library for the sake of finding more information and organizing our library with more ease. So, many of you probably just view your library in this little pop-up screen here, and that's great. You can do that. However, I'm not a big fan of this particular pop-up screen for a couple of reasons. First and foremost of those reasons is that it's kind of small. You can't see a whole lot of data on your different books. So if we were to change our view to get more information on here, it limits us a little bit. Now we can definitely grow our window if we want to. Down in the bottom right hand corner, if you click and drag that, you can change the size of your library. So you can click and drag that to make it larger. So that's cool. But unfortunately, the other thing I have a problem with when we have this particular library view is that if you click accidentally anywhere outside of the library, it disappears. And so when I'm doing editing in my library, I want to make sure that it's not going to disappear on me and I'm not going to lose what I was just working on. So in order to combat that, we can open our library in a couple of other ways. First of those ways is that we can actually right-click on the library icon. So if you would go ahead and right-click on the library icon, you're going to get a context menu that pops up. In that context menu, you've got some different options. You can open in a new tab, or even open in a floating window. So if we wanted to open in a floating window, we can go ahead and click that. So go ahead and click Open in a Floating Window. And what that's going to do is open up your library in a new window that floats on top of what we previously had. So now, as you can see, we've got a pretty large screen to work with here, quite a bit of real estate. And if we click outside of it, sure, it's going to disappear behind, but it's not going to go away entirely. So that's the one problem with a new window, is that you can still click outside of it and then it accidentally hides it. So let's go ahead and close out our floating window. Go ahead and close out your floating window back to a blank layout like this. And instead, what we're going to do is actually click and drag the library icon down into our active layout. So you may not have known that you can do this. You can actually click the library icon and drag it down into your blank layout and drop it in. And it will resize it according to how you dragged it down. So let's go ahead and do that again. I'm going to go ahead and do that again for you. I'm going to close out my library. We're just going to click and drag the library down and drop it in. And then you can resize it in your layout accordingly. So any of your Logos resources you can actually do this with. If you have your library open, you can click and drag them out of your library and drop them into your layout. And you can see how easy it is to actually organize and customize your layout, because Logos instantly resizes your window with this blue highlight to show you where your resource is going to be dropped. And then you just drop the resource in. So you can build your own layouts doing this. But for right now, we're not going to talk about building layouts. We're going to talk about organizing our library. So I want to go ahead and make our libraries take up the entirety of our layout. So I want all of the real estate to be taken up by our library. So there's a few things that you're going to probably notice about your library along the top of this new panel that we have open. The first is this find bar. It has the word find in it. It's just a search bar that shows you how many resources you have currently showing in your library. Just to the right of that, we have this little drop-down menu. Right now, it probably says entire library. If it doesn't say entire library, go ahead and click it. The very first link in that context menu that pops up is entire library. Go ahead and set it to entire library if you don't already have that set. So just to the right of entire library is this little icon. This is our library viewing icon. If we click this, you're going to have three options that pop down. If you do not have three options, or your library does not look exactly like mine, that means you're not updated to the most recent Logos version. So make sure that you get your Logos updated if you don't have a library that views like this, because this was a rather recent update to the Logos system, was this library changes. So you can see we've got three different viewing options here. We've got something called cover view. If we go ahead and click cover view, we're going to see that this is basically just all the covers of the resources in our library. So this is kind of fun. A lot of people really like this view. I'm not super thrilled about this view because it doesn't give me a whole lot of information about the books in my library. It just shows me the cover of them. So you may like to select books this way. You may not. The next view is what's called the tile view. This is going to still show us the picture of our books, but it's going to give us a little bit more information, such as the title and the author, as well as some of the different tags that are available and ratings. So once again, this is a great view, but it doesn't give me all the information that I really want in order to really organize my library effectively. So the last view, if you go ahead and click on your view icon up here in the top right-hand corner of your library panel, is the details view. So if we click details, you're going to see a whole lot more information populate your screen. So you're going to see your picture there on the far left-hand side. You're going to get different columns such as type, title, author, my tags, series. So depending on whether you've done any editing of this library or not, you may have some different columns visible. I want to make sure that you have at least 3 different columns visible in your library right now. The first of those is the column called type. So many of you may not have the column type visible. You can see it over here on the left-hand side of mine. If you do not have type visible, make sure that you put your mouse cursor within the column heading row. Make sure you put your mouse cursor within the column heading row, right-click within the column heading row, and you're going to get this new menu that shows up. Make sure that you have a check mark next to type. If you don't have a check mark next to type, make sure that you click that to put a check mark next to it. Once you have a check mark next to type, you're now going to see the type column appear within your library panel. So I want you to have at least type, title, and author visible. Type, title, and author. So if for some reason type was put way over here on the right-hand side, you can fix this. You can click and drag the column header, click and drag the column header to reorganize how it shows up in your library. So you're going to click and drag the column header to reorganize it. Now, here is a quick trick to organizing your library by type. Did you know that you can actually click any of these column headers to organize by that particular column? So if I want to organize my library by type of resource, I can click the type column header, and it's going to reorganize my library by the type of resource that it is. So if I'm looking for all of my Bibles, and I just want to find those really quickly, rather than scrolling through the entirety of my library, and this library that I'm working with right now has over 4,600 resources. So this is quite a sizable library. Your library may have different numbers of resources. Some of you may have 1,000. Some of you may have 200. So however many resources you have, scrolling through all of them is not going to be a very effective use of your time. So if you want to just find your Bibles really quickly, click the type column header, go down to the Bible section, and expand it. Now you can see all of the Bibles in your library. Okay, both English, Greek, Hebrew, Aramaic, whatever kind of Bible you have, it's going to be visible within this type section. Now we can also look at all of our Bible commentaries if we want to by expanding that section. So you can see how this can be very helpful to you. Okay, But I want to show you another way in which we can do this even more effectively than just clicking and organizing by type. As you can see, we can also do this by author, by clicking the author heading or the author column header. Now our entire library is organized alphabetically by author's last name. But let's go ahead and reorganize by title again. So in order to reorganize by title, we're going to click the title column header. So click title in the column header, and that's going to organize back to how we had it originally, alphabetically by title. So instead of clicking these column headers, we're going to actually use the find bar instead. This find bar is a way that we can actually filter down which books or which resources are showing in our library at any given time. So if you notice over here on the right-hand side of our find bar, mine says 4,671. Yours may say something else. As long as you have entire library as your option here just to the right of the find bar, select it. It's going to show how many books you have in your library. So in the find bar, we're going to type some different things. Okay? So if let's say we typed the word theology. So go ahead and type the word theology. What this is going to do is actually run a search of our library for any books that have the word theology somewhere appearing in them. Now we haven't defined where theology is appearing in our book. So this could be appearing in the author line, could be appearing in the title, could be appearing in the description or the series or the type or the subject. There's all kinds of different categories in which Logos right now is looking for the word theology. So that is not going to be a very helpful way to organize our library because it's finding way too much stuff that may or may not be important to us. So let's go ahead and get rid of the word theology. What we can do instead is actually search or sort by these individual column headers. So let's say we wanted to find all of our Bible commentaries, but we didn't want to just click the type column header. This type column is also searchable through the find box. In order to search by type, we can type the word type, so type out the word type, and then follow it with a colon. So type colon, and this is how we're going to tell the find box that we're looking for just the type. And once we have type colon, and we're looking for commentaries, we can type the word commentary, or just the letters C-O-M-M. Just enough information to let Logos distinguish between the type of commentary and all the other different types in your library. So right now, the only thing that you're able to see once you type out the search criteria, type colon C-O-M-M, and once again, there are no spaces in between the colon and C-O-M-M. So it's type colon C-O-M-M with no spaces. So if you put a space in there, it's going to mess it up. So type colon C-O-M-M. Now, the only thing visible are our commentaries. But here's where searching through the find bar is way more effective than just clicking the type column header. We can add additional criteria to our sorting here, to our filter. Let's say we wanted to find only the commentaries by John Calvin, so only Calvin's commentaries. And Calvin's commentaries will come if you have any Logos library version 5 bronze or above. You're going to have Calvin's commentaries. Okay, so let's go ahead and type author this time, colon. So this is going to be searching the author column. So we have type commentary, now author colon, let's type Calvin. Now if you don't have any Calvin commentaries, that's okay. You can type any other author that you want in there. So don't worry about it. I'm just showing you how you can do this. The majority of us probably have Calvin's commentaries in our library if you have the bronze library or above. So type commentary author Calvin. Now the only thing we see in here are all of the commentaries by John Calvin. Now you may have noticed I also have some other commentaries in here, like the Crossway Classic commentaries, which only come in diamond and above. If I wanted to get rid of those, and I'm just going to show you real quickly how you can get rid of resources as well, there's another command. It's a search operator called a Boolean operator. You don't have to remember the word Boolean, but a Boolean operator is basically the words and, or, and not. Those are different Boolean operators, and those are typed all in caps. So let's say I wanted to get rid of the Crossway Classics. Well, there's an easy way that I can do that. I can type the Boolean operator and not, and then type title Crossway, because all of the Crossway ones have Crossway in the title. So now I'm telling Logos I want all of my Calvin commentaries, but not the ones that have Crossway in the title. So now all we have are the ones from this series called Calvin's Commentaries, and we have all of those listed right here. Now, that is fun. That's how we can quickly and easily organize our library. And there's all kinds of different columns that you can organize by. Once again, if you right-click within the column header tabs, you can see all of the different options there, such as publisher and subjects and most used and devices, so on and so forth. You can organize by all of these different categories or different columns. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all of this search criteria just by clicking the little X, the blue X in the right-hand side of our find bar. So go ahead and click the blue X at the right-hand side of the find bar to get back to just everything in your library. Okay, so that's how we can organize our library. That's a real quick crash course in organizing the library. So the next thing is we want to learn how to prioritize our library. And once again, if you have any questions at all over what I've just shown you, feel free to email us in your questions, webinars@logos.com. Go ahead and shoot over an email and we'll make sure that we address it here at the end, if not earlier. So make sure that you send your questions in if you do have questions. But what we want to focus in on next is this prioritize option at the top right-hand corner of your library panel. Now, remember what I said at the very beginning, is that Logos is more than just a collection of your digital resources. And you can see here in the library, we've got all of our resources listed out. Logos is also your very own team of personal research assistants. So what we want to do when we're using Logos is that we need to train our research assistants how we like to study, because they are there to help us. One of the ways that we train them is to prioritize or prefer certain resources in our library. So that way when we do a search, we're going to tell our research assistants, these are the books that I prefer or that I would like to be on top of any search or any type of thing that I'm doing. Okay? So we want to click on the prioritize option here in the top right-hand corner of our library panel. When you click prioritize, it's going to give you a little pop-out menu over here on the right-hand side, or a pop-out window that right now may be blank, or it may have some things in there if you've already been dragging some stuff over there, or it may just have one Bible in here. If you've set your preferred Bible on the home page, you're going to have that Bible put over here. Now we're going to spend just a little bit of time doing prioritizing, and there is a particular method that I've adopted and I've stolen from Morris Proctor. As we mentioned him at the camps at the very beginning, make sure you go to Morris's camps or get his camps on DVD. Either way, he is a phenomenal teacher, and he taught me how to use Logos. And he has a method that he likes to call the top 5 or high 5 prioritized. Now the high 5 prioritized are 5 categories of resources that you want to prioritize. These are the essentials. Now you can prioritize all kinds of other resources, but you want to make sure you have at least these 5. The 5 resources that you want to make sure that we prioritize are: first, our Bibles; second, our Bible dictionaries; third, our Bible commentaries; and then fourth and fifth are our Greek lexicons or Greek dictionaries and our Hebrew lexicons or Hebrew dictionaries. Okay? So we're going to do just 3 of these types. So Bibles, Bible dictionaries, Bible commentaries, Hebrew and Greek lexicons. Those are the 5 resources we absolutely must prioritize in order to really get Logos to work for us. So today we're going to do 3 of those. We're going to do Bibles, we're going to do Bible dictionaries, and we're going to do a Greek lexicon. Okay? And I'm going to show you why we want to do these 3 here in just a second. So the way that we're going to prioritize our resources is we're going to just drag and drop them over from our library into this new panel over here on the right-hand side. So if we're going to do Bibles first, we want to find just our Bibles in our library. And I'm sure some of you are probably already doing this as I speak, but here's how we're going to do it. The first thing we're going to type into our find bar is type, because we want to find just our Bibles. So we're going to do type : Bible. And that's going to show you just your Bibles in your library. Now, you may have noticed we've got all kinds of Bibles in here. We've got Greek, we've got Hebrew, we've got Aramaic, we've got all kinds of different stuff. We want to limit this to just our English Bibles. So the way that we do that is we're going to type a space after Bible, and now we're going to type L-A-N-G. That stands for language. We can determine which language we're going to be searching. So do L-A-N-G, colon, and now do English. So type colon Bible space lang colon English. Now all we see in our library are our English Bibles. So just for the sake of demonstration, I'm going to do a couple of Bibles. We're just going to do 2 of each of these resources. What I want you to do is, of these 5 categories of prioritized resources, I want you to do at least 5 in each of them. Now, Greek and Hebrew lexicons may be a little bit more difficult, so I'll show you some grace there. But on Bible commentaries, Bibles, and Bible dictionaries, I want you to do at least 5 of each. And that's going to make sense here in just a second. So for the sake of demonstration, I'm going to do just 2 prioritized Bibles. The first of which is going to be the English Standard Version. I'm just going to set that as one of my prioritized Bibles. So in order to prioritize a book, here's how you do it. You mouse over the resource in your library, so find the ESV if you'd like, and then you click and drag it over into the Prefer These Resources window and drop it in. So you just click and drag and drop. It's that simple. Okay? Let's do another Bible. Some of you may be familiar with the Lexham English Bible. If you can find the Lexham English Bible in your library, go ahead and find that one. This is actually Logos's English translation of the Greek and the Hebrew Bibles. So we actually put together this English translation. Let's go ahead and prioritize this as well. Go ahead and click and drag over, and then you might see a line that shows up underneath the English Standard Version that's showing you where that book is going to be dropped when you drop it in. So go ahead and release and drop it in. So now we have 2 Bibles prioritized in our library. All right, so that's great. We're just going to do 2 Bibles for right now. Let's move on to something else. Let's do a Bible dictionary. So go ahead and get rid of all the search criteria in our find box, and this time we're going to do a Bible dictionary. So in order to do a Bible dictionary, we're going to, once again, do type colon. Now this time you may be thinking, I want to type in the word dictionary. And that seems reasonable, but don't do that. Because if you type out the word dictionary, I'll go ahead and do that right now for you all to see. Dictionary is actually keyed to just the normal English dictionaries, so like Oxford or Merriam-Webster. That's not what we're interested in right now. We want our Bible dictionaries. So go ahead and get rid of the word dictionary if you typed it out. The way that Logos organizes Bible dictionaries is by the keyword encyclopedia. So instead of dictionary, let's type out the word encyclo, and you just have to type out enough for Logos to distinguish that type from others. So you just have to type out the first few letters, and now you have just your Bible dictionaries showing up in your library window. So let's do a couple of different Bible dictionaries. If we wanted to find the new Bible dictionary, we can put a space after our type colon encyclopedia, and let's do title colon new. Title colon new. Now we should find the new Bible dictionary in our library. And you can see I've got a lot of other dictionaries, and we're going to talk about these here in just a second. But let's go ahead and drag and drop the new Bible dictionary over into our prioritized resource panel. Let's do one other. Let's do title colon, instead of new, let's do Easton. That's E-A-S-T-O-N, Easton. And you should see Easton's Bible Dictionary. Now what we want to do, instead of dragging and dropping this one, let's actually right-click on the resource instead. So if we right-click on the resource, we're going to get a new context menu that pops up. And you can see within this context menu, it has an option to prioritize this resource. So let's go ahead and click Prioritize this resource. And that's going to drop it into your prioritized panel, just like clicking and dragging and dropping. Now if you click the Prioritize Resource option from within that context menu by right-clicking, it's always going to put it at the bottom of your prioritized list. So if you'd rather have that resource somewhere else, let's say we wanted Easton to be first, we would have to just click and drag it over. But if we drop it in already, we can just click and drag and change the order. So we can actually click and drag Easton and drop it on top of the new Bible Dictionary to make Easton our prioritized Bible dictionary. All right. So let's go ahead and get rid of our search criteria once again, and let's do one last thing. We're going to do one Greek lexicon, okay? One Greek lexicon. So let's go ahead and type out the word type, and you've probably already started doing this, and that's great if you have. Type colon, and another type in our library is lexicon. So go ahead and type out the word type colon lexicon. Type colon lexicon. And you're going to have all different kinds of lexicons. Depending on the size of your library, you might have a lot, you might have a little. Type colon lexicon. Let's also do title colon Greek. So this way we're only finding the things that have the word Greek in it. So that's going to be primarily our Greek lexicons that are going to have that. So title colon lexicon, or type colon lexicon, title colon Greek. And let's find an intermediate Greek English lexicon. That's a great one to use if you like. There's also some others in here depending on the size of the library that you have. So let's go ahead and do this intermediate Greek English lexicon. Go ahead and drag and drop that over here. Okay. Now, obviously, do whatever lexicon you feel is best. I actually prefer this Greek English lexicon of the New Testament and other early Christian literature. This is what's called BDAG. This is really one of the most popular Greek lexicons in the market today. This one comes in the Platinum Library and above. So not all of you are going to have this. You can also purchase it separately. But I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop it over there just to have it over there. And you can put any Greek lexicons you want. Okay? So that's it. We're going to set that as our prioritized resources. We've got 2 English Bibles, 2 Bible dictionaries, and a Greek lexicon or a couple of Greek lexicons, depending on how many you wanted to pull over. So that's it. If we click the Prioritize button up here, it's going to go ahead and hide that panel. And that's all we're going to do with Library for today. So if you have any further questions, please email it in. But otherwise, we're going to move on to something else. And it looks like we do have a question here.
Yeah, we do have one question, and thought maybe this would be a good place to stop and answer it. Someone's asking, Andy's asking, what is the difference between a lexicon and a dictionary?
No, that's a great question. So primarily, I mean, the lexicon in a dictionary is this. A lexicon is looking into lexical information about Greek, Hebrew, Aramaic, basically other linguistic words. So if you want to get more linguistic details about another language, that's what you're going to be using a lexicon for. A dictionary is primarily just an English dictionary, at least how Logos is defining these terms. So that may or not have answered your question, but that's really how I define them in my understanding.
One other question here about prioritizing resources. Is there a good way to prioritize like a multi-volume set without dragging each individual volume?
That's a great question. And if I had more time, I would have gone over that, but let's go over it real quickly. Let's say I'm just going to do one really quickly. I have this Wesleyan Bible commentary here as the very first commentary that's showing up. This is one of many. If you just drag and drop one of a multi-volume set into your prioritized resources, it's going to automatically prioritize the entire series. So you just drag and drop it over, and that's going to prioritize that entire series for you. Okay? Now, the question may be, what happens if I don't want the entire series? That's fine too. All you need to do is just right-click on the resource, and when you right-click on it, you have the option to prioritize this resource alone or prioritize the series. So if I want just this resource, just click Prioritize this resource, and then that's going to be the only one that comes over. So it's real easy to do an entire series. You just click and drag one from the series over, and it will put all of them over there. All right, well, let's move on because we're running out of time quickly. So go ahead and close out your library panel. You can do that by just clicking an X in the top right-hand corner or the X in the top left-hand corner. Either way, it does the same thing. We're going to do one other thing, okay? We are going to organize our own custom collections. We're going to do a couple of collections, and then we're going to do some quick searching, show you how to search those collections. Now, one of the things that you're going to find here in just a little bit when we start talking about collections is that we're going to actually have a resource, a highlighted resource or a featured collection in today's webinar. Today's featured collection is actually going to be the IVP Essentials Collection. So I think it's called the Essential IVP Reference Collection. This is an incredible reference bundle of Bible dictionaries, background commentaries, pocket dictionaries. Really, it's a reference collection ad excellence. Most people ask me, Mike, I just got a base package of Logos. What do I do next? I usually say, well, if you want to build your library, the next thing you want to do is upgrade your library. I'm a big fan of all of our Logos-based packages. So if you have bronze, think about going to gold or silver. If you have gold, think about perhaps platinum or diamond. There's some excellent resources in there. But if you're at the largest base package you feel comfortable with and you're just like, I don't want to upgrade anymore, then my next recommendation is Essential IVP Reference Collection. Uh, I think it is that valuable. It's basically one of the best bang for your buck bundles that you can buy in Logos today. I'm a big fan of it, and I'm going to show you how we can utilize that particular collection in today's webinar as well. Okay, so just wanted to put that little note in there for everybody to be aware of that's what's going to be going on here. So next that we want to do is actually build a custom collection. So you may have noticed if you've opened up any search in Logos is that when you search your entire library, you get all kinds of information that comes back to you. Oftentimes it's way too much. You can actually set smaller subsets of resources that you've predefined, and these smaller sets of resources are what we call collections. So let's say you're doing a theological search or theological study, and all you want to look at is your theology books. Make a custom collection of your theology books. Or you want to know just what John Calvin's saying about a particular doctrine. Make a collection of Calvin's books. I'm going to show you how you can build your own custom collection. Okay? So in order to build a collection, we're going to go up to the Tools menu. We're going to go up to the Tools menu within Logos. And in the very top left-hand corner is an option called Collections. So we want to go ahead and click Collections. So go up to the Tools menu and click Collections. When you click that, it's going to open up a new collection creation panel. Okay, so we're going to build a couple collections. We're going to build one general theology collection, and then we're going to build another collection. I'm going to show you how you can use the IVP Essentials collection and build actually something custom from that. So let's go ahead and build a theology collection. So first thing we're going to do is change the name of our collection from unnamed collection to My Theology. So let's do My Theology. So go ahead and type My Theology into the naming bar. Now one of the things you're going to notice is that underneath that is something called the rules bar. Okay, so this is our rules filtering bar. This rules bar is incredible, and here's why. These collections are something called dynamic rules-based custom collections. Now that was a mouthful. Dynamic rules-based custom collections. The reason why they're called dynamic is because once we create a rule for it, let's say we're looking for all of our books that fit the subject theology. Anytime we add a new book to our library that fits the rule that we're going to be setting for this collection, it will automatically be added to the collection. So this collection will grow as you add new resources to your library. It's rules-based because we're going to set certain rules that these books that are being added to this collection need to fit. And it's a collection because it's a subset of books that we've determined. So if we click in this rules bar here, go ahead and click in the rules bar, we're going to do a quick search. Okay? Now, the reason why I love starting with library organization and then moving into collections is because these rules are the same rules that we filter our library by. All right? So if we're looking for all of our theology books, a great way to start is to just do a title, colon, and let's find every book that has theology in the title. So we're going to do title, colon, theology. So now everything in our resulting collection has the word theology in the title. Now, there are some really in-depth ways that you can build rules, and we're not going to go into a super complex rule because for a lot of you, this is going to be the first time you've ever been introduced to rule creation. But if you'd like, you can go to a website, or in the top right-hand corner of the Logos resource or Logos panel is a blue question mark. If you click on that blue question mark, you're going to get a little drop down where you can actually, one of the options is View Online User Edited Wiki. This will take you to the website called wiki.logos.com where you can look up all kinds of different rules for building collections. We're not going to go there today. I just want to make sure to point that out to you. If you forget everything that I talked to you about today, If it all just seeps out of your ears tonight as you go to sleep, that's perfectly fine. Remember this, the blue question mark in the top right-hand corner, and then view online user-edited wiki. Also, go to a camp. Get Morris's DVDs or go to a live camp in your area, and that will be another way. But those are the ways that you can remember everything that or go back over everything we've talked about today. We're also going to have this archived online as well at logos.com/webinar-archive. logos.com/webinar-archive. Okay, so let's get back into this. We're going to do title, theology. So this is looking for every place where theology is in the title. All right. Now there's another column that we didn't talk about in our library organization called subject. So let's go ahead and instead of just typing a space, we're going to put in a Boolean operator, and that operator is the word or. Now you want to make sure that you type this all in caps, because the way that Logos recognizes different operators within searches or within library organization is these operators need to be all in caps. So let's do title, theology, space, or all in caps. So this is saying we're looking for anything with theology in the title, or, now let's do another one called subject. Subject is another column that you can add to your library, and I believe these are organized by the Library of Congress as subjects. Okay, so let's do subject theology. Okay, so this is adding anything that has theology in the subject. All right, and that should have made your library or your resulting collection down below grow pretty substantially. All right, now I've got all kinds of theological journals added in here. Now, depending on the type of resources in your library, your resulting collection is going to look different. So that's all right. Now we can refine this even more if we wanted to. If we wanted to even go into our library and add additional resources. So I'm going to go ahead, let's go ahead and drag and drop our library over here to the right-hand panel. So go ahead and drag and drop your library icon to the right-hand side so we can have our collections on the left and our library on the right. All right? And let's go ahead, there is a resource in here that's been authored by Carl Henry, called God, Revelation, and Authority. So I'm going to do author Henry, and I'm going to do title God, and that's enough for me. This one right here, God, Revelation, and Authority, it does not have theology in the title, nor does it have theology in the subject column. So based upon our criteria, this is not going to be added into our collection, even though it fits exactly what we're looking for. All right. Now, if you don't have this book in there, that's fine. In your library, that's fine. Just watch this for example. Okay. If you do have it, that's great. Here's how we add an individual resource to our collection. Simply go to your library, click the resource, and drag it over to this section called Plus These Resources in your collection creation panel. Now, make sure you put it right here where it says Drop Resources or Collections. If you drag and drop this anywhere else, it's going to act like you're opening the resource. You're going to see these blue highlights, but if we put it right here where it's supposed to be, we get this little green plus sign that shows up. And then drop it in. Now that resource has been added to our collection. And we can do the same thing to remove resources from our collection by dragging and dropping them into the minus these resources collection from this collection. Let's say we just dragged and dropped this Ashamed of the Gospel. You can drag any resource in your collection up there. Go ahead and drag and drop one up there. Let's say we didn't mean to do that. We actually want this back in our collection. If you mouse over the resource in the minus these resources section, mouse over it and then click the red X that appears just to the right of it, that will put it back in your collection. Same with the plus these resources. If we click this red X, it's going to take it out of our collection. So that's a quick way that we can adjust our collection without having to change our rules too much. So now, anytime we add a new book into our Logos library that has the word theology in the title or has theology in the subject, it's going to automatically be added to this collection. We now have a custom dynamic collection that we've created. So let's go ahead and clear out our library and our collections panel. Go ahead and clear out your library and your collections panel. And now I'm going to just illustrate another collection for you. So you're not going to be following along with this. I just want to show you another collection. This is a collection that we're going to build from the IVP Essential Reference Library, or the Essential Reference Collection. And one of the great things about this Essential Reference Collection is that it has really incredible reference resources. And if you're going to add anything to Logos, you want to add reference resources, because Logos is incredible with your research assistance in searching these different reference collections. So I want to name this one IVP Dictionaries, because there are a lot of dictionaries in this IVP collection. And the way that I can organize by this is really simple. I'm going to set publisher to IVP, and that's going to give me just the books that are published by IVP. And then I'm going to do type : encyclopedia. Now all I have are the Bible dictionaries that have IVP as their publisher. Okay, so you can see all these different dictionaries are all included in the Essential IVP Dictionary, or IVP Reference Collection. So things like these pocket dictionaries. If you're familiar at all with print resources, Dictionary of Paul and His Letters, Dictionary of New Testament Background, Jesus in the Gospels, as well as later New Testament. These are 4 volumes from an 8-volume set. They have black covers and they're really thick. They're about $50 a piece in print. You might be able to find them cheaper otherwise, but these are some of the best Bible dictionaries on the market today dealing with the New Testament. You also get something called the Dictionary of Biblical Imagery, as well as the Dictionary of Biblical Theology and the Dictionary of Theology. So it's covering a whole lot of different bases that you're going to need for reference resources. And we're going to talk about pricing at the very end, and you're going to see why why this bundle is so incredible, because of how well it's priced for all that you get. So we're just going to build this collection called our IVP Dictionaries, and we're going to come back to that in just a little bit to show you why that's important. All right, I'm going to close out that collection. Now you may be saying, Mike, I just closed out my collection, but I didn't save it. Is that collection gone? The answer is no. Logos automatically saves your collections. So if we go back to Tools, open up our Collections panel. So make sure, let's click on the Tools menu, click on Collections again to get a new unnamed collection. And you may have noticed this already, but if you didn't, at the very top of the Collection Creation panel is an Open button. This Open button is a way that we can access our old collections. So if you want to get your My Theology collection open again, just click My Theology and it reopens it. Now you can edit this collection to your heart's content. So whatever you want to do, go ahead and edit it down or add things to it, but that's how you can get back to your collection again. All right, so we've organized our library, we've prioritized some resources, we've built a custom collection. Now we want to search our library. But before I do that, I want to see, are there any pressing questions that we have that we need to address here?
Yeah, there's one question we've gotten in several different forms about prioritizing, and it's basically when you prioritize resources, does it what's the value of that? What's the value of prioritizing one resource over another?
And I'm so happy that you all asked that question, because you're helping me along very easily. I'm about to show you the value in prioritizing those particular 5 types of resources right now, actually. And then I'm going to show you how you can actually run searches right from out of a resource. So let's say you have your Bible open and you want to run a search right out of your Bible. I'm going to show you why prioritizing resources is actually going to help you do that. And then I'm going to show you how to open a new search panel to run searches that way. So here's the answer to your question. Let's go ahead and open the ESV Bible. So we're going to all open the ESV. Now you can go to your library and open that way, or let me show you a shortcut. We're going to use something called the command bar. At the top center of your screen is this search bar that says command in it. Okay, that's why it's called the command bar. You can open up any Bible that you want, any English Bible, by just typing the acronym for that Bible. So ESV is ESV. So if you type ESV, you're going to see a little drop down that says Open English Standard. Just go ahead and hit enter or click that. It's going to open up your English Standard Version right away. And you can do this for any Bible. So let's say I wanted to open the King James. KJV, hit enter, and the King James Version would then open. So I don't want King James open. I'm going to go ahead and close that. All I want is the English Standard Version open. Okay? So let's go ahead and go to a verse. Let's go to, right now I have Luke 15. Yeah, let's stay here. Let's go to Luke 15:11. So this is the parable of the prodigal son within the Gospel of Luke. And if you weren't aware, up here in the top left-hand corner of your Bible panel is a search bar where you can type in any Bible reference. Now you may have noticed I didn't type out Luke in full. I just typed the letters LK space, and then I typed 15 space 11. You don't have to type colons if you don't want to in between verse and chapter. You can just put a space, and you can use shorthand for biblical titles, biblical book titles. So I typed LK space 15 space 11, hit enter. It takes me to Luke 15:11. Okay, now let's say we wanted to dig into one of these words in particular. Let's say we wanted to dig into the word, let's see here, sows. There was a man who had two sons, and the younger of them said to his father, "Father, give me the share." Actually, sorry, I'm misspeaking. Let's do reckless down here in verse 13. I'm thinking of a different parable all of a sudden. I got the parable of the sower on my mind right now. So let's go down to the word reckless in verse 13. So go down to verse 13. Let's click on reckless, and we can actually right-click on this word. So go ahead and right-click on the word reckless. Okay, right-click on the word reckless. Now what this does is this opens up a new context menu. A new context menu. Within this context menu, you have all kinds of different options available to you. On the right-hand side is what we're going to worry about right now. So go ahead and click the word selection reckless. Go ahead and click the word selection reckless, and it's going to populate on the left-hand side a whole lot of information for you. Okay. Now in the bottom left-hand corner are different options that you're going to see here. These are resources, okay? Now right now we don't have any of our Bible dictionaries open right now, so we're going to look at another word here in just a second. But what I want to look at first is this lemma option. Go ahead and click on lemma on the right-hand side. Go ahead and click on lemma on the right-hand side. Now you may have noticed this, but in the bottom left-hand corner you've got Greek lexicons that appear there, and these appear in the order that you have prioritized them in your library. So for a little bit better example, let's go to the verse John 3:16. So go to John 3:16 right now. We're going to go to a really popular word. So once you go to John 3:16, we're going to right-click on the word world. Right-click on the word world, and then make sure you have the lemma cosmos selected. So make sure you have lemma selected in your context menu. This is the Greek word. This is the dictionary form of the Greek word. So you can see there's a lot. You can have a lot of different forms. So think about the word ran. It can be run or runs. Those are different forms of the word. But if you look it up in an English dictionary, it's going to be the word ran, or I think it's ran. It could be run. I don't know. However it appears in the dictionary. Greek words work exactly the same. They have a dictionary form. That's what the lemma is. Notice in the bottom left-hand corner what's on top. If you prioritized an intermediate Greek-English lexicon, that's going to be the very first thing that populates in here. So if we click on that, it's going to open up an intermediate Greek-English lexicon directly to the entry for the Greek word cosmos. So that's why prioritizing resources comes important. Because let's go ahead and right-click on the word world one more time. Go ahead and right-click on the word world to get the context menu. Notice how many Greek lexicons are down here. We've got 5. Let's go ahead and click on the English word world. So within our context menu, click on selection. Click on selection. Notice in the bottom left-hand corner, we have 5 English Bible dictionaries. And the first one on there is the New Bible Dictionary. Now notice you probably have some other Bible dictionaries in there, and this is why you want to do at least 5, if not more, because you'll notice I didn't prioritize Baker Encyclopedia or these IVP dictionaries, but Logos is saying, well, Easton's doesn't have an entry for world, so we're going to go ahead and list the next 4 that you have, and Logos already has a set prioritization default, but we can override that by prioritizing in our library. So if we click New Bible Dictionary, that's going to take us directly to the entry for world in our Bible dictionary. So this is a way that we can access information really quickly from our library just by right-clicking on words. Okay? So that is an incredibly helpful tool. Now here I'm going to go even a little bit further. Here's another reason why you want to prioritize at least one Bible dictionary. If you double-click on the word world, go ahead and double-click on world. Look what happens. If you double click on world, it automatically opens your prioritized English Bible dictionary directly to the entry for world. That's a quick way to get instant information. Now, if we had a Greek Bible open and we double clicked on the Greek word, it would automatically open our Greek lexicon directly to the word in Greek. So that's why we're prioritizing resources. Now, another reason why you want to do something like Bible dictionaries is because if we go into our guides, and this is a little bit extra information, if we go into something like the Passage Guide, and let's say we wanted to run a search on John 3:16, and we go to our commentary section, notice how it lists all the commentaries. So if you go up to Guides, open Passage Guide, and then run a Passage Guide on John 3:16, the way that these commentaries appear in this listing is according to your prioritization. So if you want certain commentaries to populate first in this list, those are going to be the commentaries that you prioritize. So we're telling our research assistant, in this case our research assistant who governs the Passage Guide, these are the commentaries I want to be listed first when I run a Passage Guide. So those are the reasons why we're prioritizing. Okay? Now, if you have a few different resources open, go ahead and close them all out. Go ahead and close out all the resources in your screen. And let's do a quick search because we're running out of time. We may even be out of time already. We're going to take just 1 or 2 minutes to do this. We're only going to focus in on the basic. So if you didn't know, go ahead and click on the search panel or the magnifying glass icon in the top left-hand corner. That's our search button. Click that to open a new search. Make sure that you have basic selected. We're just going to be doing a basic search. There's a bunch of different searches that you can run, but we're going to do basic. And we want to set, right now yours is probably set to entire library. Let's do a quick search on a theological term. Let's do a search on justification. So go ahead and type justification into your search bar and make sure your search is set to all text in entire library and hit enter. Now, you're going to get a whole lot of information. Go ahead and shrink down the topic bar by clicking the little black arrow on the left-hand side, and then just look at library results. I've got a lot of results here. You may have a few less, but we want to organize this so that there's not as many there. Okay? Here's how we're going to do it. Where it says entire library, go ahead and click where it says entire library. Notice in this drop-down menu, notice in this context menu, we've got access to our preset collections. So if you select your My Theology collection, go ahead and select your My Theology collection. You've limited the amount of resources that are going to show up in this search. Now it's still a rather large search, but we can change our view as well from ranked to just by title. Go ahead and click by title. Now that's going to show you all of your resources or all of your theologies that have justification as a hit. So this is a quick way that you can look through your theologies and look at all the instances where justification appears. But let's go one step even further than this, and this is where we're going to close for today. Okay? We're going to go one step even further. We're going to click the word all text, and then in this field, we're going to click the black arrow. This is something called a field search. Now, a field search is an incredible thing for Logos resources because Logos resources are not just one long-running text. They are broken up into different searchable fields. Two of those fields I want to accommodate you with are heading text and large text. So go ahead and put a check mark next to heading text and large text. And notice what happened to our search results. They shrunk substantially. So now all that you have seeing here are anything where the word justification appears either within a subject heading or a chapter heading or a major content heading within your resources. If that word appears within a major heading, you're probably going to want to look at that resource or that particular section of the book. This is a way that we can limit down just to our theology books and just to the heading texts or the large texts within our resources. That type of search alone is going to save you a lot of time and is going to allow you to do some incredible searching of your library in no time whatsoever. So that is a quick entry into search. Now I want to show you one quick example out of our IVP dictionaries that I just built. And this is a way that we can just get some really incredible information from some great resources. So let's say we want to know what Paul says about justification. We have this dictionary called Paul and His Letters. and we can read about Paul's views on the topic of justification by opening up this section. So these dictionaries are put together by broadly evangelical authors, and these are some really incredible resources with some great scholarship. If I'm going to go to the bottom of this entry, and at the bottom of each entry, if I go down here, I can scroll down, and you're going to see a whole list of works cited. So you've got an entire bibliography of where this information is being drawn from. So that's going to help you do further research. So it's scholarly, it's really accessible to just normal folks. I love this collection, and it's really searchable when doing a search like this. If you define your collection, your dictionaries already, you can then search really quickly your IVP dictionaries. So that's all I've got for you. We ran over by a few minutes, but I thank you for hanging with us. But if you do have any questions, hopefully we can get them. But if we don't have enough time, I understand. But thanks so much, guys, for joining us. Hopefully that was helpful. Remember the blue question mark up here in the top right-hand corner if you want some more information. And I'm going to turn it back over to Ray. So thank you very much for your time.
Well, thanks, Mike. Boy, that was a lot of fun. Learned all kinds of stuff there. If you are interested in us doing more webinars like this, is a relatively new thing for us. We've only done a couple like this. If this is something that you really enjoy, you would like to see more of, make sure to tell us. You can email us, tell us by social media also. We'd love to hear from you what topics you would like to hear us covering. Like Mike talked about today, the featured collection for this particular webinar was the Essential IVP Reference Collection. Lots of really powerful Bible dictionaries there. You can find it on logos.com at logos.com/IVP reference, and that is a great thing to add to your library. Actually, Mike, I don't have it yet.
You need to get it.
So I might have to go right after this. I might have to go get it because I was very impressed. It's a very thorough collection of resources there. If you'd like to maybe re-watch this webinar, maybe you'd like to go back over some of what Mike covered, you can do that at logos.com/webinar-archive. Now, it's going to take me just a few minutes to get it all, get the video processed and get it up there. But we will email you when it is ready. It should only take me just a couple of minutes this morning. So I would imagine that sometime early tomorrow we'll have it up and ready for you. But logos.com/webinar-archive is where you can watch the recording of this event. Well, thanks for being with us today. It's been a lot of fun.